Okay, picture this. In just one single, brutal stretch of desert, the entire course of biblical history gets flipped upside down. Welcome to our Explainer on Numbers 20. Today we're diving into a text that is literally packed with rapid-fire crises, devastating losses, and honestly, one fateful leadership decision that changes absolutely everything.
Okay, let's dive into this. The chapter kicks off in the unforgiving desert of Zin. Miriam has just passed away, and almost immediately the camp is hit with a massive crisis. There is no water. Terrified, thirsty, and frankly at their absolute breaking point, the Israelites completely turn against Moses and Aaron. They're literally crying out that they wish they had just dropped dead earlier. It's a total, complete meltdown.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the fatal climax it sets up. God gives Moses a very specific instruction, right? Just speak to the rock to bring out water. But Moses, well, he snaps. Under the crushing pressure of this rebellious crowd, he completely alters the command. In pure, unfiltered frustration, he calls them rebels and physically strikes the rock, not once but twice.
So the crucial point here is the fallout. The water actually flows abundantly, but the consequence of that altered action, it's devastating. Because they failed to trust and sanctify God in front of the people, Moses and Aaron are permanently barred from entering the promised land. Think about that for a second. A literal lifetime of grueling, exhausting leadership abruptly cut short of its ultimate goal, all because of one fractured moment. Reeling from this crushing decree, Moses tries a desperate pivot. He turns to diplomacy, seeking safe passage through the neighboring territory of Edom. And if you look at his terms, they're incredibly reasonable. He promises they'll stay right on the main highway, leave the fields untouched, and literally pay for every single drop of water they drink. And this brilliantly illustrates how diplomacy can just fail entirely. Edom doesn't just politely say no, they respond with a blunt, aggressive threat of violence. Even when Israel pleads to just walk through on foot, no funny business, Edom marches out with a massive, heavily armed force. It essentially forces Israel into a completely humiliating retreat. As if that geopolitical defeat wasn't enough, it leads right into another massive personal blow at Mount Hor. Here, we witness this incredibly heartbreaking, systematic transfer of power. Moses physically strips Aaron of his priestly garments, putting them on Aaron's son Eleazar, right there in front of the entire congregation. And then, right on that mountaintop, Aaron dies.
Let's move to this timeline and see how this builds. Because when you step back, the sheer density of loss in just this one chapter is absolutely staggering. Look at this rapid-fire succession. The Israelites lose Miriam, then Moses loses his future in the Promised Land, and then Aaron loses his life. It is just an overwhelming, compounding cascade of grief for a wandering nation. The text actually tells us the congregation mourned Aaron for 30 solid days. But looking at everything Moses and Aaron endured to drag the people this far, it really forces us to ask a difficult, almost uncomfortable question. Does a single moment of intense frustration define an entire lifetime of leadership? It's definitely a heavy thought to chew on as we wrap up this explainer.